given us. We pray in the Lord's name, amen.
Amen. Please be seated. I'm very pleased that you have taken time to join us this evening. As the Judson Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals and policies and oversee the management of the district. We are responsible for approving budgets, contracts, personnel, appointments, and listen to the reports from the superintendent. We are not here to make administrative or management decisions pertaining to the daily operation of the district. This is the responsibility of the superintendent. In compliance with the state government code on open meetings, tonight's agenda has been appropriately posted. This is a meeting in the public, not of the public. As our guests, you are welcome to observe and listen. These procedures are being videoed and audio recorded and will become part of Judson's permanent legal record. In order that the tape adequately reflect these proceedings, please silence your mobile phones and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that these proceedings are recorded accurately, I may have to ask periodically, should I notice a disruption or interfering with our capabilities, please be silent. Thank you very much. Dr. Montoya, introduce your cabinet.
Again, members of the board and audience, to my left, I begin with our Assistant Superintendent of Operations, Mr. Milton Fields, our Chief Human Resource Officer, Ms. Irma Hernandez, our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Jose Elizondo, and to my right, Tori Austin, Executive Director of Curriculum Instruction, Ms. Elida Berra, Associate Superintendent of Administration, and a very important person, Jackie Perez, the Board Secretary.
Thank you. And I'd like to recognize the newest Converse City Councilman, Jeff Beeler. Please. Thank you. We have two citizens to be heard real quick. We'll start with Charlene Alexander. 3 minutes, but you'll be quick.
Hi. Each year for the last couple of years, I've been securing donations from local businesses that directly go to the campuses. And last year, I was able to get supplies for teachers and student organization. I was able to get cakes for their program and things like that. Last year, I secured 400 backpacks for the district, and I'm here to present another 400 to 500 backpacks for the district, and they come from Costco.
Wow.
So, and we just started partnering up. So I start this in the summer. I start nagging them, going, okay, I want these. So these will go to most of the elementary schools. And so we have 200 right now to get the school started, and then we're expecting another 200 to 300 as soon as they come in. They're waiting for them to come in. And so they'll go to Ms. Roddy, and she'll distribute them to the campuses.
Thanks to Costco.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Chief Mermone.
Good evening, Board President, Dr. Montoya, board members, community. We'd like to start off the school year with a little incentive for you, just to let you know that we are building our programs at Judson ISD Police Department. We will start off with the Gang Resistance Education and Training Program, which will be given to all 6th graders at middle schools. It's a 13-lesson curriculum, and so we have purchased incentives just to get class participation, and we will be targeting all 5 middle schools. We have 5 great officers that are certified, so we'll be switching them from school to school. So it gives the campus officer an opportunity to continue to provide a safe and secure environment. The second program that we're introducing is our elementary patrol program, which we've divided our district into 4 sections, District A, B, and C, and D, which gives an officer an opportunity to work with 5 to 4 elementaries in their district, coincide with the patrol officers also, but it gives the administrators an opportunity to have a one-on-one with their officer in their district, which will help with civil matters, reading divorce decrees, assisting with traffic control, which will be on a rotating basis, not assigned to one specific campus because there's not enough of us. So that elementary program is kicking off this year. The other program that we're going to continue with is our Law Enforcement Explorers program, both at Judson High School and Wagner High School. Both high schools did extremely well, and we placed at state. Wagner coming in with, I believe, 3 awards, and Judson High School with 2. So we're going to continue with the law enforcement program. It's a success. So we're looking forward to that year because we have competition coming in October already. The next program we'll be doing is the DARE program. We will also be coming to elementaries nearby. It's a little tight because we only have one DARE certified officer, so we need to send some during the summer so that we can target all our elementary schools. And then I think that's about it. We're ready to rock and roll during the first day of school. We'll have traffic in some areas, not all areas, but we're going to try to get to every area that we possibly can that's a high-risk area. Thank you.
Chief. Appreciate it. Good job. Yeah. Okay. We'll move on here. First, I want to say, everybody's at Convocation today. It was exciting. It was great. It was really cool. Dr. Montoya did some dancing. I did some dancing, but Dancing with the Stars is already called Dr. Montoya, and I want to know when you can go on there. So, yeah, he's better than me. Okay, he super did it. Okay, let's. Thanks, man. Okay, moving on. Let's do 4, consideration consent items. If you want to pull, just say pull. 4A, consider and take action regarding approving minutes of the regular board meeting held July 16th, 2015. Consider and take action regarding approving monthly financial information as of July 31st. Pull, Mr. Michelle. B's pulled. C, consider and take action regarding approving of expenditures equal to or greater than $50,000. D, consider and take action regarding approving quarterly cash investment reports of all funds as of June 30th, 2015. E, consider and take action regarding approving an ordinance levying a tax rate for the Judson Independent School District for the tax year of 2015. F, consider and take action regarding approving request for proposal 15-15 for deaf interpreter service. G, consider and take action regarding request for proposals 15-22 for group term life insurance. H, consider and take action regarding approving request for proposals 15-23 for child nutrition temperature monitoring system. I, consider and take action regarding approving request for proposal 16-1 for fundraiser products and services. J, consider and take action regarding approving request for proposal 16-02 for fresh produce. K, consider and take action regarding approving cooperative purchasing management fees. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Chairman, can we pull item E, please?
Yeah, you want to pull that one? E?
Item E.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to vote on 4, A, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, and K. Did we get a second?
Second.
Second? Okay, got first. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, let's go to 4B, consider and take action regarding approving monthly financial information as of July 31st, 2015. Ms. Michelle.
Thank you, Chairperson. On page 29, I would like to, Dr. Montoya, I'd like to understand what the projects are for Gartner Project Consulting. What type of projects is that?
Okay. Ms. Pichelle, members of the board, I think, yeah, we have Mr. Young here who will explain it very effectively.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, board members. Gartner is a IT consulting firm worldwide that is the leader in IT consulting and research. So they do a lot of services for Judson ISD. They review project proposals that we get from other companies. They do contract reviews for us. And they have a host of advisory services and research services such that we can schedule one-on-one meetings with worldwide specialists on any one technology, for instance, wireless or firewalls or those types of things. So there's a lot of conference calls that are held, a lot of collaborative work together with those analysts when we need them, as well as just a vast knowledge base of research that we can access.
Thank you. One more question on page 30. Dr. Montoya, what does Blackboard Connect do?
I can take care of that one as
all right.
well.
Yeah, go ahead,
Blackboard
Mr. Young.
Connect is the district's mass communication system. So the primary duty day-to-day is making attendance calls for to home to the parents of students who have been absent that day, as well as the proactive communication out from the schools to the community. You know, and then the real thing that really sits in the background for is for any kind of emergency that could occur, it can notify parents immediately at
Okay.
any phone number, text message, email on file for those parents. or
And the
employees.
last one is, it says a subscription to Let's Talk platform. What is that and where is it?
I have a question for Mr. Young. Is that all right, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Young, coming back to the Gardner Inc., it's there twice. Is that just a mistake?
I
It's
think
on
it's
page
listed in
29
two
and
different,
It's on page 30.
yeah, I think it's for the same
amount,
charge.
everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the
Thank you,
same
sir.
amount.
I have a question, hold on, Mr. Young. I noticed it's 2 of 2 for that one. Is it coming up for contract again after?
Yeah, we're going to reevaluate this spring, so we may look at going down to a lower level of service. We're considering that.
Okay.
In reference to the question about Let's Talk is a two-way community communication tool that the board wanted to initiate last year whenever HB 5 went into effect, so that we could get more involvement of the community in different issues and just getting involved in terms of asking questions, concerns, that type of thing, so that we can actually get those questions and those concerns directly to the people who can address them. And so if you go to our website on the homepage, there is a big Let's Talk, kind of green and white Let's Talk button there.
Oh, I've seen, okay,
And that will
gotcha.
take you directly
Thank you.
to starting a dialogue there.
Any other questions on 4B? We think we need a motion. Get a motion? Second? All in favor of 4B, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. 4E, consider and take action regarding approving an ordinance leveling tax rate for the Judson Independent School District for the tax rate year 2015. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Second, okay. Mr.
Just a
Salinas,
question,
go ahead.
sir. Is that supposed to be 2015, 2016? Because we have is that correct, or just for 2015?
The tax year is always 1 year, like we're in the 2015-16 school year,
Correct.
the tax year is 2015. And like last year, when we were in the 2014-15 tax year, school year, the tax year was 2014. It's always just the beginning, the first year of, it's taxes for that year.
That's it.
Okay.
I thought maybe we needed to ask 2015.
Sure.
Thank you
That's
very
right.
much,
You
sir,
bet.
for that. Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on. 5, discussion and consideration of action items. 5A, consider and take possible action regarding approving an expenditure of funds to be paid to the Bexar County School Board Coalition.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Flores, second, Mr. Salinas. Discussion, Dr. Montoya.
Members of the board, this is that group of districts in Baird County that stresses going public in all our schools and getting students in the public schools versus charter or private schools. And they have meetings, they have activities, they have a lot of PR activities for the community, and they're asking, again, this is something this district belonged to before, and they're asking that we rejoin that.
Any questions? Mr. Macias? No? Anybody? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. 5B, consider and take possible action regarding approving the formation of a Citizens Bond Committee. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Motion, Mr. Flores, second by Mr. Flores, somebody. I don't know, Jackie. Sort it out, Jackie.
Mr. Macias
Mr.
has the
Macias,
motion.
okay. Great, that'll work. I put this on here because it's time for a bond. And we got to get things rolling. We have a bond committee. So what I'd like to do is get input from the board and give Dr. Montoya some direction on what we want to do for next May. Does anybody have any comments or anything? Or we just, yes, Mr. Macias? Renee? Go ahead, Renee. You're first.
I just would like to know what the procedure would be. Would each board member appoint somebody? What would the procedure be?
Well, it's kind of, we can It's usually who shows up for the
Yeah.
bond committee, honestly. I mean, you want to appoint somebody, send somebody, that's great. Can we, Mr. Field?
But is there a plan?
Yes, ma'am,
Yes, the
there
bond
is.
committee.
What
Okay.
we'd like
Not
to
the
do
board.
is to get representatives from each board member as well as some of the board members themselves, and then get some of the district administration, parents, students, community members, come together, talk about demographic projections, future facility needs, current facility needs, come up with a proposal, and then come back and make that to the board. And sit down with Mr. Elizondo so we can give you a comprehensive package on what we're looking for.
So you would post it district-wide
Correct.
and, oh, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Throughout the district, let them know on what days we're going to meet, look at all of the different facility concerns we have, and then come back and make that proposal to the board.
What I kind of want to do is, I already talked to Mr. Fields, Dr. Montoya, come in the September meeting with a better understanding of what the district needs and what our tax rate and how much, we can go out for a bond. We had a good bond committee in 2013, obviously, because we passed an $83 million bond without passing, raising any taxes. So we kind of think we need to build off that old bond committee and get them going, and anybody that wants to be part of this bond committee is more than welcome. Mr. Macias.
Yeah, I have to agree, Mr. Sellier, that the district is in need of a bond, and we do have infrastructure improvements that need to be repaired through this bond, as well as we are a growing district. Kitty Hawk is really exploding in terms of the amount of students that are at that facility. So I know that once we do our forecast and projections, we can find out what we need, but it is clear that we do need a bond. And 2016 is a very aggressive timeline, but I think it's one that is viable and that we can get through. I would just stress the importance of making this a community effort so that we have our stakeholders playing a role in deciding what they think is important to move the district forward. But I think that's the plan. So I'm very comfortable with saying let's move forward and get this done. Now, I did have a question that's two-pronged, sort of. If most infrastructure bonds use the funding that is not increased in taxes, similar to what we did in the past, if we were to put a bond package together, could we divide it to where infrastructure improvements are taken out of funds generated without the tax increase, and anything over, and I say over because if we want to build a new elementary school or a new middle school, that could come out from that sort of a bond. I guess that's, our experts can answer that, but that's sort of the question I have out there.
Go ahead, Mr. Elizondo.
Thank you, Dr. Montoya. That is something that I could tell you a little bit later. Once the committee comes back and decides how much money we're going to request that the board approve and then the voters approve, we have a certain amount of funds that we can obviously sell without needing any kind of tax rate. The last time we talked about it, we thought maybe $15 million. So if the improvements to the facilities were $50 million or less, then we can definitely say, sure, that part's not going to require a tax rate increase. But if they exceeded that, then we wouldn't be able to fund the entire amount with that. But what we always try to do is try to match the payments to the life of the improvement that we're trying to make. So if we're going to buy, for example, technology equipment, and we know that it has a useful life of 5 years, we want to make sure that however much money we spend on that equipment, we pay off within those 5 years. Because we don't want to have a debt that we don't have an asset that's with us anymore. So we're always trying to be very cautious of that to make sure that, because if not, what happens, our balance sheet looks terrible. We have a liability and we don't have an asset to offset it with. So we're always looking at that to make sure that we at least match them. And of course, the goal is to have the asset surpass the debt level, the life of the debt. So yes, sir, we do look at that.
So it does sound like you're affirming that we have that option if it comes back that we need so much money, and infrastructure improvements are a small portion of that. We could devise the bond to be presented that way.
Yes, sir, we could do something like that.
Okay.
Would that be, on the same subject, that would be by proposition then, right? Basically?
Typically, yes, sir. I'm not sure what the committee's going to come back and propose to the board, but typically when we do larger bonds, it is by proposition, so the taxpayers have an opportunity to vote on each one.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Salinas.
Thank you, sir. Definitely I'm for this committee with one understanding. Once the committee is formed, once Dr. Montoya and his cabinet gather all the information as far as what's needed in the district, how many, so many elementaries need some kind of work, roofs, whatever it is, middle schools, high schools, then this committee would be prepared to go and visit those facilities that have been recommended to be fixed or whatever need they have. I think that's going to be very, very important. That way, this committee could, on a Saturday or some evening, can go and visit that school and say, hey, you know, you're right. This school really needs this, and I think the community will support us on this because we've seen it, and there's a need for it. So I hope that's the route we're taking, not just forming a committee and say, hey, I think we need 20 million or 100 million, I don't know. But definitely they need to go visit those facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd love to have 100 people on a bond committee. Your teachers, principals, you got to invest in it. Be on a bond committee. We can use you on Saturdays, Sunday nights, Mondays, Tuesdays, you know. We only pass a bond because we got community involvement. The 2013 bond passed. Why? We got the mayors, we got the people, the Greater Randolph Partnership involved. We put it out there. Mr. Kirshner went around to every school just about and held town hall meetings, let people know what it is. So we need people, and I'm sure Mr. Fields will put it out there when the first committee meets. And I want 100 people. I'd love to have 100 people. We have some great committees and a lot of sign bearers. Mr. Macias.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just one short question. We've been actually talking on this board about collaborations with the county or with other municipalities. Would this give us time to really explore those options as well, or based on a projected 2016 ballot time, does that kind of put that out there?
You know, I think it's a good question, and we could explore to see, you know, there may be parts of the district that the county has an interest in to do something. So maybe we open that door anyway and see if there's a possibility. So the answer would be yes, to see if that connection could happen.
So there would be time then. I mean, it's not a deal breaker. We as a district need to move forward with a bond, but certainly if we can capitalize on that option and you know, just putting it out there. So thank you.
Mr. Flores.
In regards to that with the county, you know, a lot of the district is going to be annexed pretty soon here. Well, they're going to go in for, in January, a lot of the district's going to be annexed. It's not where it's going to be taxed yet, but there's 3 years that they have to determine if they're going to keep, the city's going to keep this community or whatever part that they're going to annex. So I think a lot of people were at Judson High School when they had the meeting, and the reason I know something about it is because I work in that department that's doing it, and so it's we're going to lose some of that county effect there.
Yeah, I think part of your district is going to be annexed. All of it, yeah. It stops at the Waltham Road area, so that still stays Bear County, but you're right.
And sort of my personal wish too is I think we need to think outside the box and think about all our kids, our vocational school kids. I'd love to have a vocational STEM school put together. You know, if they build the pipeline from Canada to Texas, they need 5,000 welders tomorrow. You know, we can team with a welding school, and these kids make $20-25 an hour as a welder, you know, in an oil field. So whoever's on a committee, I want to think outside the box, okay?
Don't tell teachers that.
Yeah, don't tell teachers that. They'll go to welding school. Any other questions, comments? We're voting on 5B. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. 5C, consider and take action regarding approving administration's recommended change to the compensation plan for the 2015-2016 fiscal year previously approved by the board on June 23rd, 2015. Can I have a motion? Motion, Mr.
Second.
LaFoille, second, Mr. Salinas. Dr. Montoya.
Again, the board approved at a previous board meeting the compensation plan. There have been a few glitches. Sometimes, you know, you have literally several thousand employees and hundreds of job descriptions, and sometimes some are not included or they're forgotten. And so this is basically to correct those things, and I'll let Ms. Hernandez explain anything else here.
Thank you, Dr. Montoya. Basically, what you have in front of you, Board of Trustees, are some corrections that were omitted when the compensation plan was approved. In June, for example, our production kitchen managers are paid an additional 75 cents an hour because they are in production kitchens. And we've been doing that for several years. When the compensation plan was presented, the 75 cents was left out. So we want that added back on there so that we can make them whole. The HVAC mechanic position, for example, was totally omitted and was not in the compensation plan. So we need to ensure that that position is added back on there. And we've already talked to all of these employees, and we told them that we would make the adjustment to their paychecks effective July 1st in the next paycheck, which would be September, following board approval.
Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oh, hold it. Mr., you got a question?
Yes, what is the net effect on this, Mr. Elizondo?
It's on one of the pages there. We're talking about, sorry, we are, for the adjustments, it's 20, it's altogether it's about $30,000 total.
Is that coming out of the general?
It's coming, well, some of it is, some of it isn't. If it's child nutrition, it's coming out of their fund, and the others are coming out of them. But there are sufficient funds available in the budget that was adopted to cover this.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We'll skip D. We'll move on to 6, discussion items and reports. Superintendent report. Dr. Montoya.
Mr. Salyer, members of the board, just very briefly, I myself attended a community engagement conference, and it was paid by Scholastic. It was at Harvard. I want the district to know, the district didn't incur any expenses. The issue was how do you engage parents in school districts? And it's interesting that this is an issue across the world. There were several countries there, and of course several state representatives from all over the U.S. And so we talked about ideas on how to engage parents more effectively. We also celebrated with Northeast Methodist their 30th anniversary, and also I attended the superintendent's meeting in Region 20, and we have been attending the Go Public meeting as the board approved that funding, and that's an excellent thing for the district. Of course, the beginning of the year, we do the administrative summit, the HR summit, so we went and did that group. We did do a mini convocation with JECA because they started their classes last week, so they were not really able to attend today, so we did a special convocation with them. We have been meeting with Commissioner Calvert from the county on various areas and concerns, one of which is violence of students and issues across the county. So we'll be talking more in the future about that. And we had a meeting with the Simon Youth Foundation in the last couple of days. They are very pleased with the program over at the mall, and we're looking at expanding it and see what else we can do. So basically, those were some things that I was directly involved in. At this time, I'd like to start with just the next area to talk briefly, and our people to talk about the state of Texas accountability ratings. We do have some of that information at this time, and so we'd like to give the board an update. And to be honest, 2014-15 was a very successful year for Judson ISD. All the campuses met standard, and 17 of the schools received distinctions, with 2 campuses receiving all 6 eligible distinctions. So, good things happen there. The preliminary data does show gains in student performance, and in several areas, JISD outperformed the state and the region. There are several subpopulations, such as ELL reading and writing, in which the district also outperformed other districts in the county. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Austin, who will share some of the preliminary accountability information.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Montoya. Thank you for the opportunity to share the preliminary data that's come out for the 2015 2015 accountability. We will have the final accountability and the TAPER report at a later date once everything is set and finalized with the state. So briefly, the state accountability Those ratings are largely based on the performance of standardized tests. And in addition, the high school ratings include graduation rates, diploma plans, and other post-secondary indicators such as coherent sequence, dual credit, AP exams, and things like that. There were some changes to the accountability from 2014 to this year, and those really meant in the index, we needed to meet index 1 or 2 for the campuses, as well as index 3 and 4 to receive a MET standard rating. There were some assessments that were not included into accountability for this year, 3 through 8 math, and that was due to the changes in the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills and the state having to make some adjustments with that. So those scores were not counted into the accountability ratings. And then Star A and Star Alt 2 were not included in the accountability ratings for this year. As you can see, the district did meet standard in all 4 indicators. And in each of the indicators with the minimum score or the performance index targets were, the district was quite above, well above the needed index score in order to show the performance to meet the standard. In addition to meeting standards in those 4 indices, there are also additional campus distinction designations, and you can see that those are related to achievement in reading and English language arts, math, science, social studies. There's a top 25 student progress, which has to do with students achieving the top quartile, the campus achieving the top quartile in performance, and related to its campus comparison group, closing the performance gap, and post-secondary readiness. And as Dr. Montoya shared, we did have 17 campuses receive 1 or more distinctions, with 2 of our campuses receiving all eligible distinctions. And this kind of gives you a picture across the board of our elementaries. In the areas, again, math is grayed out because it was not included in the accountability system for this year, so there will not be a distinction available. And then social studies at the elementary, but you can see the number of campuses that met distinctions across those areas, middle schools, and then at the high schools. The other part of the accountability is the community and student engagement, and districts must assign one of 4 performance ratings, either exemplary, recognized, acceptable, or unacceptable. And overall ratings for the district was recognized in those areas of fine arts, wellness and physical education, community and parental involvement, 21st century workforce development, second language acquisition, digital learning, dropout prevention, and then educational programs for the gifted and talented students. In addition, we did provide for you a picture of the performance by campus in each of the areas and the all students as compared to where the district rating was. Again, this is preliminary data. As we get the final data this fall, I know that several of you have asked about the charts that will be updated, and those will be available once we do get the final data from the state. Overall, it was a very successful year for the district. So.
Thank you very much.
Now,
Any questions?
What were the 2 schools that received the distinction?
I have those right here.
Checa and Salinas.
Checa received a distinction, the distinctions, Crestview and Salinas.
I see.
Dr.
Thank you.
Salinas? Done? Anybody? Mr. Ford?
Dr. Montoya, will we be putting these up on the wall there, up the charts and everything?
Yes, we can put that.
When we get the finals in?
That's correct. We
Yeah.
will put it, and obviously on the district website, so that the
Excellent.
public and everybody can have that, yes.
Excellent,
But
thank you.
Also chart.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
up on-
the charts will be.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll have those in here and the website for the district.
Anything else?
Other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Construction update.
Again, the monthly construction update, referring at this point to the new high school. Just a very quick comment, we will have for the board, the list of, as after this Friday, of possible names. We'll share that with the board, and then we hope that at the September board meeting, the board will make a decision as to the name of the new high school. But anyway, Mr. Fields?
Thank you, Dr. Montoya. We don't have any other projects going on in terms of construction but the Evans Road High School, and it'll be the 1,600 student high school. that's projected for completion in June of 2016, and it's currently about 70% complete. In terms of Area A, which is the area up front, and most of the work has been done there, all the walls, door frames, sheetrock, the lobby area where the brick is, and the storefront is about 99% complete. In the other academic areas, the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing is about 90% complete. And then in the site work itself, the stormwater sewer lines are about 99% complete. Trees in the ball field in the subgrading areas have been removed. Excavation. The concession stands, the tennis court, press box, soccer, the football bleacher, concrete pads have all been poured and are complete as well. It's really starting to come in and look like a high school out there, for those of you who had the opportunity to take the tour. That's all I have.
Also, members of the board, we've had several tours, and I know some of you have also expressed that can they go on a tour? So we'll have future tours inviting anybody from the public or our district and our board members that would like to go back.
Anything else? Okay, let's do some locals here. 6B, update to DCE local employment practices, other types of contracts, first reading. 6C, update DIA local employee welfare, freedom from discrimination, harassment, and retaliation, first reading. 6D, update to EIA local academic achievement, grading, progress reports to parents, first reading. That's first reading. Second reading will be obviously next month. 6E, Evan Road High School pool costs. Mr. Fields?
Yes, sir. As a cost-saving measure, the current design team for the Evans Road project was asked to put together a design for a pool out at the Evans Road High School, and we asked them to design an 8-lane outdoor pool supported by an enclosed pump room and a 6-foot tall chain link fence that encompassed the entire pool area. The original proposal that they gave was between $600,000 and $1.2 million. But the return proposal was for $3,059,000. Some of the things that we ran into when we tried putting the pool out there or looked at the design was that because of the foundation, they're going to have to put the pool on piers, and that's quite expensive. In addition, because we have our own water treatment facility plant out there, because there was no water running to that area originally, for us to discharge the water from the pool routinely, we would have to treat the chlorinated water before we sent it through our wastewater treatment plant. In addition, it's going to be sitting outside. We'd have to have somebody monitor it daily to clean it out, get the leaves out. And then the concern that I had was that it was a 250% increase from what we originally thought. So at this point, in speaking with our facilities planning team, we don't recommend that we go forward with a pool out at that site, and that you give us an opportunity to speak with, like Mr. Macias said, some of the local area, Bexar County or Converse or someone, to see if we can do this in collaboration.
Thank you. Yeah, it doesn't make sense spending $3 million on ground for a $1.3 million pool. So we'll look at other alternatives. Ms. Bashaw.
I just want to piggyback off of what Mr. Fields said. There are other entities, cities in the MetroCom, that we could think about partnering with. And please remember Converse.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else? Mr.
At this time, if you're going to go to F, I'd like to pull it at this time.
Pulled. Okay. Anything else? Okay, G, we're going to skip due to some sensitivity, the audit report. So that's not like for board, we're not hiding anything. It's just, if you read it, it's sort of a sensitive report. So we're going to go on to H, legal services. Legal service options for board and district operations. If you turn to page 185, so our options. Dr. Matoya has been working real hard. We met with the attorneys, and basically what this is about, as the board knows, we're spending a lot of money on attorneys. And a lot of board members have had their concerns. So Dr. Matoya came up with 3 different options. Nothing's in stone. I just want to get everybody's input in open session because we can't do this in closed session. And sort of what direction we want Dr. Matoya to take. Any comments?
And again, members of the board, none of this is by any means set in concrete. These are wide open. These are three possibilities. There's, I'm sure, more. And if you want to share any ideas with us, and we'll go from there. Our goal is to come back very soon to a board meeting with a final recommendation.
Mr. Flores.
Thank you. Yeah, I've thought about this since you mentioned it in the past, and we have spent a lot of money on legal fees. You know, what we've been doing in the past is, you know, not really having someone that we would go to and at a set price. And I think, Dr. Montoya, you're taking the right route as far as helping us save some money. And you know, like you said, this isn't in stone. If we go a certain way and then it's not working, we always have an option there. And I appreciate you bringing these to us. You know, as a superintendent, that's your job to try to save us money and help us along any way you can. And I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Macias?
Yes, certainly I'm always open to being innovative, and I've always claimed that if we had legal representation here at our board meetings, that would probably help us address readily some questions we might have. I remember days we're picking our phone up, calling the attorneys just to kind of answer some questions. So it's important that we have that representation, and any model that would help perpetuate that would be good. My questions would center, though, on the assessment of cost. Legal fees, we have spent an enormous amount of money, but I guess how much more have we spent? I know that we've seen the data. We've all been supplied with the information. It was 20% more than what we budgeted, or 30%. I'd like to look back at that just to kind of get an idea. But I did want to remind my colleagues, too, that part of the reason we had to spend so much money is because we did have RIFT issues to contend with in 2011 with separation of employees, and then we did have a spike in grievances for a period of time that also took more of our legal dollars to contend with. Both of those, I think, are on the decline, and so subsequently we shouldn't be going over our budgets. I think this year we may be doing so just to kind of assist Ms. Hernandez with some of the issues that we had with previous administrations in terms of HR-related issues, which I don't see as a constant. So I would like to really be clear on what those expenses looked like before we went and did something radical like this, which again isn't a horrible idea, but that way we can really have a true evaluation of what those increases looked like.
Dr. Salinas?
Thank you, President Salyer. I know we have received some data. I'd like to review that data again, like Mr. Macias said, in particular because we've been under different leadership from 2004 to 2015. So when you say that it's an average annually of $339,000, that could be very deceiving, where some years we didn't spend very much, and then the next year we spend $1 million. So I'd like to see it again broken up by the year. And then also, I like all three options. I just want to make sure that each option includes a piece on protocols for approving access to legal counsel, so that regardless of which option, if we choose to go this route, we have those protocols in place and in writing. Thank you.
Mr. Salinas, or Dr. Montoya, go
I
ahead.
think, Mr. Elizondo, if we could get that information maybe in a Friday newsletter, at least up front on costs and some of the questions they had.
Mr. Salinas?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I came on board on 2009. One of my concerns was the expense for the lawyers. It seemed like every year they had to amend the budget. I believe at that year or the following year they went ahead and I think it was $250,000. And it has stayed there, and I think we opted to $350,000, if I'm correct. And that's where we're at right now, right?
part of the original budget adoption, yes, sir. And then we amended it during the year.
Okay. I don't have a problem looking at different options, but remember, this district used to have an in-house a lawyer and a para, I think, if I remember correctly. The problem that I see is, yes, you have a lawyer, no problem. They sit here. The problem is that if they're going to, let's say we're going to have a grievance, well, that lawyer works with the administration. That means the school board still needs to get a law firm to represent them. It cannot be the same lawyer when you're here doing a grievance. That would be one of them. It would be nice to find out the real cost, and I think Mr. Flores might have asked for that. What is going to be the real cost by having on-site lawyer? I don't know what it's going to be, 3 times a week. At one time, we talked about 3 times a week or the whole week, every day, or 365 days a year. And I'm telling you, lawyers are not going to come to this district for $100,000 a year. I'll tell you that right now. I have 3 nephews that are lawyers, and I spoke with them. I said, what if? They're not from here. They wouldn't work for the district anyway. They couldn't work because I'm here anyway. And the answer is no. If I was to go, at least I'd like to start at $200,000. So we have to look at that. And I believe Dr. Salinas said we had it here, I think, 239,000 average from 04 to 15, if I remember correctly. So yes, definitely, let's look at that. And Dr. Montoya, I am sure that will be bringing us all that information before we jump to doing other things. If it's not broken, why do we have to fix it? Thank you.
Mr. Macias.
Yeah, just a real quick thing. I've also heard in the past from other districts that have had legal services that, as Mr. Salinas had mentioned, the experience level of the attorney sometimes could not address an issue and, in essence, became a mediator in terms of brokering out legal services to other law firms that were experts in those fields. So we'd have to be very cautious about that as well.
I listen to everybody, and Dr. Montoya and I have been working on this, but one theme that I was going through this that came out, all the plans is, we don't have a real good gatekeeper saying, we get billed for this 15 minutes, did that 15 minutes really happen, and who made the bill? It's sort of like we get the bill, and it's checked, but it's not put against anything, checked against. So I really want to look at hard on getting someone that'll go line by line. Just like, we do when Mr. Ashmore does when he gets something. Did you get 500 loaves of bread today? Did you get 20 tons of potatoes this month? We don't do that very well with our legal fees. And I'm not saying they're cheating us or overcharging, but no one checks it. And I think we really need to look first at what we do is to look at how we're checking the bills that are coming in, and someone asking the question, do we really need this or no? Thanks. Ms. Pershaw.
So exactly what you said, and what Dr. Salinas was saying, we have to have a protocol. Yeah. There must be a protocol to follow, because what you're not saying, the elephant in the room, is some people sitting up here also contributed to that enormous figure. And there needs to be some type of protocol for the board so that we have TASB available. When we call TASB for a question, they can answer a question. But if it's something else that has to be researched, that's when we're going to get hit. So I agree with the protocol.
And again, as Mr. Flores said a few minutes ago, we could come with a recommendation, and if the board approves it, that's what we can follow. And if it just doesn't work, we can go back and see what other options there are. But again, we take your comments to heart, and they're all very good, and we need to make sure that whatever option we choose, that those concepts that were discussed here are part of that process.
Mr. Flores.
Thank you. At one time, when I first got on the board, we had an attorney. Mary Ann Heisel was our board attorney here. And she came to every meeting. And when we do our comparisons of, what it was costing back then, Mr. Elizondo, to now, we got to remember the rates changing and everything. I mean, we've got to take all that into account, put it in either in now dollars or then dollars, and just make everything equal when we look at that. Because, well, of course, back then, things weren't as expensive as they are now. It didn't cost $200,000 for an attorney. I know we didn't pay that kind of money. But I think that she helped as far as our everyday things where we didn't have to call our attorneys, where she could look up certain things. And I can't remember when she left. I think it was 2009, something like that. But she was on from 2006 to 2009 that I know of. Thank you.
Mr. Macias?
Yeah, Ms. Pichelle had mentioned about someone on this board or members of this board increasing the legal services, but I don't think that's accurate. I'm putting it out there. If it is, and I was unaware of that, my impression, obviously this is for our employees in the community as well, is that our legal services, in terms of using Walsh Anderson, who's our attorney now, we have them on a retainer where they do offer advice at no additional cost. That's always been my impression. So am I incorrect? Are they charging us if we call in? If there has to be research, but they usually say this has to be a cost. But whenever it's just a legal question, they pretty much address it. And so if there is some truth to the matter that we cost as board members, I'd like to know what that direct bill was, just for our record, so that we can kind of nip that in the butt if that's the case. I just don't think that's accurate, so just kind of put that out there.
Anyone else? Thank you all, appreciate it. Let's move on to update on board advisory committees. A bond committee, inactive. We're going to reactivate the bond committee, and looking for a board member to be the liaison. I'll be on the board on the bond committee, but we need somebody. You want to be the liaison?
I'd like to.
Mr. Macias will be our bond committee liaison. Internal audit committee, we have already Mr. Flores, Ms. Pichelle, and Dr. Salinas. We have a long-range committee and curriculum committee, finance and building construction committee. We got 5 different committees there. What do we want to do? Curriculum?
Are you qualified?
Long-range planning, I mean, finance, building, construction committee is sort of tied into our bond committee. If everybody agree, I don't know why we have to have 2 committees, just to have one committee along with a long-range committee. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Let's just have one committee there. So as long as we don't have 4 board members at any one time, we're okay. Or call a meeting, one of the 2.
So, Mr. Salyer, what you're saying, make sure we're clear, bond committee, long range, and
Finance.
the finance constraint will
Combined.
be combined.
Correct,
Okay.
for right now. And then internal audit committee, Mr. Flores, Mr. Shaw. Okay? Any questions on that? Anyone?
I think if you're gonna do that, Steve, we should have 2 members on that.
Which one? What, the bond?
Bond
Those
committee.
3 combined.
Okay, whatever you want to do. I'm easy. Who wants to volunteer then?
One person keeping up with all the meetings.
Okay, so we have Mr. Macias. Who else wants to volunteer? Mr. Salinas. This is the bond combined committee. Who else? Anybody else? Huh? Mr. Shaw. Okay, that's our bond finance combined committee. Okay? Anybody else? Okay. Update on board training, conference events, consider of future agenda items. Let's go down. Mr. Salinas, anything?
Yes, sir, the convocation was excellent. Thank you to Dr. Montoya getting everything organized, and we submitted training, I think it worked. And all the staff that helped get everything organized. As far as future agenda items, I have several of them, sir, that I would like to express to this board.
Okay.
I've asked, and by the way, I did ask Dr. Montoya what I plan on doing. I would like for the September board meeting, State of Transportation report. How are we doing, the routes, buses, do we need more buses, employees, bus drivers or whatever, and the routes. And I believe Mr. Davenport is already making arrangements for Thank you, Mr. Davenport, making arrangement for the new high school. They're already one step ahead. So that is excellent, and we appreciate that, sir. Let's not wait till August and say, well, let me see, because I know you're already doing it with your employees. I've heard already about that, sir. I also would like a report from the Energy Department. Bring us up to date. Where are we? We used to get, are we getting any future rebates from CPS? Or do we have one coming because of the things that were done? Also, an agenda item on discussion on RFQs and RFPs for the year 2015-2016. And that's not gonna be, this is not for action, this is just for discussion, okay? Also, I asked Dr. Montoya, report from the counseling department. Do we have enough counselors? How are we doing, especially in the high schools? Especially, we want to make sure we don't overload our current counselors, make sure that we're going to have enough counselors. If they need some more, they need to bring it to Dr. Montoya, and Dr. Montoya can bring it before this board. To me, that is very important, those counselors. Are they following the students from freshman to senior year? I brought this out a couple of years ago. I just want an update. Also, on that report, we want a movement of counselors. And what were the justifications? I understand some counselors have been moved during the summer. And just so the board can be up to date on that. And those are the only items that I will have, sir. Thank you very much.
Ms. Bashaw, let's go down the line here.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Montoya, I want to know if we have representatives or you have representatives from your staff that are attending city council meetings throughout the Metcom.
Members of the board, we have literally assigned cabinet members to attend. They have a schedule, and we've asked them to select so that all entities are being attended by somebody. So we've set up that schedule.
At council meeting Tuesday night in Converse, there
Okay, now I have to go back and find out who I need to visit with and why they didn't go. Okay.
Mr. Flores.
Yeah, we've got a, and I'll get the exact date to pass out to all the board members. The Bexar County School Board Coalition is having a meeting at Brackenridge High School. It's in September, and it's going over all the Go Public. You know, so, and I would recommend that every board member attend if it's possible.
September 24th, sir?
The 24th, okay.
6
Yeah.
to 8 p.m.
At Brackenridge High School.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and it'll give everybody information as to where we are, what we're doing, and where we're going on this thing. So, that's it.
Dr. Salinas.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, take you off there. And Mr. LaFoyle.
Yes, I went to meet the Thunderbirds. Very good thing put on there at Wagner High School, and inside, people, inside, no hot weather outside. I think everybody ought to make it once.
Mr. Macias, anything?
No, I have one agenda item for the September meeting that was dealing on behavioral issues, I think. So we'll have that. We had a report provided, and so we'll put that on there. I may make it an action item, but certainly it will be on the September
Dr.
agenda.
Montoya.
Set it up.
Dr. Montoya, on that, on what Mr. Macias asked for that report, I'd like to see a column showing the increase in the student population at those schools also. You know, I think that would-
Good question, good question, sir.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay.
On the discipline report, can we also find out what the codes were, so if they were just a violation of student code conduct, or was it a suspension, or that's gonna make a difference, because if you report all the 2118s, and some schools don't, we need to know.
In other words, we can give you more detail. We'll recreate the report with more information. Okay.
Anything else? Okay, we're going to close session. Most of you won't,
Mr.
yeah, Mr. Salinas, go ahead.
Can we go ahead and discuss the calendar, sir?
Yeah, sure.
For October, we wanted to set up that date to
For,
continue the
well,
team building or whatever.
we're trying to make sure when Dr. Oliveras can be here.
Oh,
So we
okay,
can't really
okay.
set a
So
date.
you're on top of that.
Yeah, we're on it,
Okay,
and we're
okay.
gonna, and I want y'all start working on your goals and stuff, okay? So
Thank you,
we'll
sir.
send it back out, you know what I'm saying? We'll get those out, but we can't really set a date to Dr. Oliveros.
Yeah, and again, we'll be in contact with him because really he sets his schedule and we'll get that to you very soon. Again, the goal of that will be to look at superintendent goals and board goals.
Yes,
But
yes.
we'll get him when he's available here very shortly.
But
Okay,
start
sir.
working on it. Anybody else? Anybody else? Thank you. We're going to go into closed session. Most of you won't be here when we come back. I want to thank you all for attending. We're going to have a great year. Everybody's worked real hard. Our test scores show it. Convocation was great, and Dr. Montoya can dance. Okay. This board will now adjourn into closed session pursuant to the following section of the Texas Open Meeting Act. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, discussing personnel. No final action, discussion, or vote shall be taken while the board is in closed session. The board shall reconvene the open meeting after closed session if necessary. Any vote or decision will be made in open session prior to adjourning the meeting. We're going in closed session at 8:02. Jackie?